Stories rarely stay the same over time. They change, evolve, become symbol and metaphor, especially when people move to new places and different myths and cultures intermingle. Hello there, and welcome back to the captivating realm of the Enigmatic universe. I am your host, Clifton 3D, and today, as part of our Monster Madness October series, we're delving into another thrilling article. Get ready to dive into a world of fascinating and monstrous creatures. Are you prepared for the adventure ahead? Today, on Halloween, I want to get into the story of Jack-o'-lantern, and how Irish immigrants brought the Halloween tradition of carving pumpkins, which were originally turnips, to America. Samhain, the root of Halloween, was a Celtic festival, a night when spirits walked the earth, and the living would prepare themselves for visitations of guests, both welcome and unwelcome. From this atmosphere of anticipation and unease come traditions, which are both celebratory and defensive. Masks were worn to frighten away demons. Turnips and other root vegetables were carved with terrifying faces in order to scare away unwelcome guests, both living and dead. And tricks were played on the unsuspecting. We often hear carved pumpkins referred to as jack-o'-lanterns, an Irish-sounding term mostly used in America. There's a rich mythology behind the name of the familiar carved pumpkin or turnip, a folklore tale found across Ireland, Scotland, and in Somerset on Pumpkin Night. Jack-o'-lantern initially referred to the natural phenomenon of ignis fatuus, the flickering marsh lights that appear over bogs and can often lead travelers astray. Also known as will-o'-the-wisp. Irish folk stories offer explanations for this phenomenon. In the 18th century, the infamous Jack, or Stingy Jack, was said to be a mean-spirited blacksmith who tricked the devil and in return was given an ember from hell to light his lantern. An article in the 1836 edition of the Dublin Penny Journal explores the myth in detail. The author, when traveling with his excessively talkative uncle through a dark night, is confronted by the phenomenon. His uncle tells the tale of Jack-o'-lantern, showing his pity for this cursed figure doomed to wander with his lantern. If you knew the suffering of that forsaken creature, since the time the poor soul was doomed to wander with a lantern in his hand on this cold earth, without rest for his foot or shelter for his head, until the day of judgment. Oh, it unsoftened the heart of stone to see him as I once did, the poor old done one. His feet blistered and bleeding, his pony's rags all flying about him, and the rains of heaven beating on his old white head. The story recounted by the uncle is intriguing and complex, with Jack, the mean peasant, beginning the tale with an uncharacteristic act of virtue, helping an old man by the roadside. The old man transforms into an angel and grants Jack 3 wishes, Jack wishes for anyone who sits in his chair, plucks a bow from his sycamore tree, or attempts to borrow his cobbling tools to be stuck to the spot. The angel, disappointed, grants the wishes, but Jack is now barred from heaven. When the devil sent a messenger to claim him, they were tricked each time by Jack's false hospitality. But there's no happy ending for Jack. Barred from heaven and hell, he wanders the earth alone. It's fitting that a character trapped in an earthly purgatory should become the lasting symbol of Halloween, a time when people are as Jack-o'-lantern's transformation from folk anti-hero to carved root vegetables is another chapter in the story. There are references to the carving of turnips, beets, and potatoes at Halloween in Ireland in the 19th century. But the conflation of the Jack-o'-lantern story with pumpkin carving seems to have happened in North America, with the immigrants from Ireland adapting their traditions to American harvest customs. The first North American reference to jack-o'-lanterns comes courtesy of Nathaniel Hawthorne's 1835 story, The Great Carbuncle, about a group of adventurers seeking a precious stone with mythical qualities. "Hide it under thy cloak, sayest thou? Why, it will gleam through the holes and make thee look like a jack-o'-lantern." While the image evoked here suggests a carved pumpkin, it's just as possible that Hawthorne is referring to a will-o'-the-wisp. An earlier reference in Washington Irving's Sleepy Hollow 1820 has the headless horseman fling a pumpkin at Ichabod Crane, but it's not mentioned whether the pumpkin is carved. It could merely be a useful head-shaped object, readily available to a prankster on a dark autumn evening. The first definite connection between pumpkins, Halloween, and the jack-o'-lantern comes in a Canadian news report from Daily News in 1886. The old-time custom of keeping up Halloween was not forgotten last night by the youngsters of the city, eh? There was a great sacrifice of pumpkins from which to make transparent heads and face, lighted up by the unfailing 2 inches of tallow candle, eh? Later, the myth seems to have evolved again, so that the carved pumpkins were intended to scare away the spirit of Stingy Jack, rather than to symbolize the lantern he carried. Another example of the rich layers of myth, folktale, and ritual that inform our Halloween traditions. As we wrap up Monster Madness October, I want to express how much fun it's been delving into the eerie world of creepy monsters and uncovering their rich histories. I hope you enjoyed this series as much as I did, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on whether we should continue this tradition next year. There are many more monsters and traditions and stories that we can delve into. If you have any other exciting ideas for future series or topics you'd like to explore, please share them in the comments below, and hey, let me know if you knew the story about Jack-o'-lantern. Before we part ways, I'd like to wish you all a spooktacular Halloween filled with thrills and chills. Thanks for joining me on this hair-raising journey, and until next time, stay curious, stay safe. Remember to hit that like button because, well, you know, likes are like cookies for YouTubers. We just can't resist them. And hey, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Subscribing is like adopting a virtual unicorn, and who wouldn't want a majestic creature like that in their lives? So join the party, hit the subscribe button, and keep following. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and keep those tinfoil hats closed. You never know when they might come in handy. Until our next extraordinary adventure, this is Clifton3D signing off. Stay weird, my friends.